Hello everyone, Lillian So, Shireen Vishma, no Harpo in the house this evening because we are in a special location. We are at Alonzo Line's Dance Studio in San Francisco because we have been plotting and planning and talking about our upcoming Italy retreat, which is in July 9th through 14th to be exact. We will be dropping more information on that. That is our movement and magic retreat. Very, very exciting. But before we talk about that, we're gathered here today to talk about Venus Retrograde. So Venus Retrograde is coming right now, tonight as we're making this video
in a few hours.
So you guys will be getting it once you're actually in it.
Yeah.
But I told Trina, I was like, do we need to make a Venus Retro video? She's like, yeah, we need to make a Venus Retro video.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, for sure. So we should definitely talk about it. Obviously, if you think of Venus right away, you would imagine you think of love, maybe beauty, love, beauty. I think of money, abundance, pleasures, things that make you feel good, all things beautiful. What else would you say? I'm just gonna go ahead and pass off the mic to Sharon and have her talk about Venus Retro in general.
Yeah, definitely Venus rules what we're attracted to, what we love, how we love, what's valuable to us, what we find valuable, what gives us pleasure, as you said, beauty, sensuality.
Right.
So when Venus goes retrograde, it's like that part of our life, like the relationship area, the money area, the beauty area, all of that it backs up. It's literally like we stop, pause, and have to rethink it, review it, revamp it.
It's like Mercury retro but Venus, but in the Venus themes.
Somewhat, yeah. And it's a very alchemical journey, actually, because Venus retrogrades for about 40 days, just like the alchemical process. So there is this kind of underworld journey that happens back to a deeper state of self-love that I don't think people talk about enough, because often what happens when our relationships are on the line, or we're going through a breakup, or we're questioning our relationships. It can be a relationship to a lover or a long-term partner or a job or a best friend, whatever the case is, or your money. When you have to stop and reflect on something that's not working, often it's a reflection, because Venus is definitely a planet of reflection, of something that is out of alignment in ourselves in terms of the way we are partnering with ourselves, the way we're valuing or undermining or undervaluing ourselves, undercutting ourselves. So all of that's up for review. Now, it depends on the sign that Venus is transiting through.
Right.
For this particular retrograde, so Venus, by the way, only retrogrades once every 18 months approximately. So it's not as
So it's been a little while.
Yeah, it's not like the Mercury, which is 3 to 4 times a year. It's been a while. The last one was in Leo, and it was back in the summer of 2015, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that feels like so long ago.
I know.
And like in August of 2015, I believe it was. And that was retrograding through Leo, Virgo and Leo, mostly Leo. This one is starting in Aries, and it's going to retrograde back into Pisces, and then back into Aries, and go forward into Aries. So you can think of the journey of like, we're starting in this kind of fire it up, like every man for her and every woman for herself kind of energy right now. It's like people are really defending their own fire, their own I am principle right now, and there's not a lot of compromise when Venus is in Aries. But it's interesting because it's such an independent sign, Aries. It's definitely a sign of individuation and independence. And then when Venus retrogrades back into her sign of exaltation in a few weeks, goes back into that, that night sea journey of Pisces, then we are going to go into this phase of having to, surrender into the part of us that actually longs to merge. Now, we might project that onto a partner, like we want to merge with the beloved, and we, think we found this like amazing goddess or god that we want to merge with, like our soulmate, our true love. But really, what's happening is we're trying to merge with something deeper in ourselves. You can call it the inner devotion or the inner divine essence, however you want to think of like that which is beyond this mundane world. We're always looking for that connection, right? Pisces really emphasizes that. We can find it through music or dance, like we've just been dancing in the studio, and it feels amazing to connect to that eternal source, right?
Got it.
But if we project that onto money or relationship or something that is limited in scope, something that is not eternal, something that's ephemeral, in that case, we are really in trouble. Because obviously that mundane thing it's going to disappoint us, it's going to let us down. So we revisit that during the Venus retrograde. We have to really look at how we project this need for something beyond this world onto something finite, and how disappointing that can be.
Right.
But if we can find that connection to something greater, to something infinite, to our own inner divinity and that inner quest for wholeness that we're all really seeking.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, just we can't experience that in love or in relationship. I mean, I don't. Some people can even experience it with money, I suppose. But it's not really about the thing or the object or the person or the relationship. It's obviously about the experience that we're having.
Right. I love what you said about inner devotion.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard you say that's the work during this Venus retrograde, right? So during this Venus retrograde, we may want to look out for how we project,
how we look at
onto
the outside,
right, looking for it on the outside, but really we really do want to connect to that inner Venus,
right, that inner Venus,
devotion,
that inner creativity,
inner creativity, and
sublime.
and then with the Aries, like the inner self-love,
the
fire, and just
warrior.
ownership of yourself,
Ownership
and all
of
that.
self,
Yeah. What are good practices during Venus retrograde? Like what should we be doing during these 40 days? Like how do we maximize this time of reflection?
Well,
really,
I
in
recommend
Venus?
doing, and I have to take this opportunity. I'm doing a 40-day alchemical journey with Venus retrograde,
Duh.
Project 40. So,
I'm doing it too, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't help but do a little plug, because that is what I would recommend doing. And the reason, that's actually what inspired the Project 40s, is because it is Venus retrogrades for about 40 days, and it does invite us to do the inner work of journaling, reflection, creativity. We're going to do rituals and stuff. I always recommend doing that kind of. Venus loves magic and rituals, so that's
of course.
why.
Yeah. Venus loves magic and ritual. Of
Venus
course.
is the sign of magic. So obviously, we're going to have a lot of that stuff. I recommend that. If you can't do it with us, I recommend doing your own version solo. Devoting the next 40. It's approximately 43 days to your own self-love, self-healing.
Self-love, self-healing.
Adoration of all the things you love, making time for those things.
Right. So for example, if I have some students who have been really struggling with self-care and really making time for themselves and showing up and being able to nurture themselves, would Venus retrograde be like, okay, this is it? Like you really got to get back on track during this time. Like you have to.
You can't lose yourself in another person right now. You have to pull back.
Whether that's work or
family
or anything, right? It doesn't have to just be like a lover or false lover, right? Yeah.
No.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, anything you get lost in where you have to pull it back and come back into the relationship with yourself.
Can you say that again?
No.
I know, right? Because it's so in the moment. I know.
Get that thing.
Yes, exactly.
Pull back the relationship with yourself.
Yes, yeah. Pull back the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I like that.
Pull back into the relationship.
Yes, I feel like that is the simplest Venus retro message. Really pull back into yourself and really use these 40 plus days to, if you want to dig deeper, definitely do Project 40 with Shireen. I'll put that information below on the below the video, so that you can really explore at a much deeper level, all the things that might be coming up around.
So many layers.
Yeah, so many layers of your own Venus work.
Yeah, and it's also an amazing time to break relationship patterns. We tend to repeat the same patterns of disappointment in our relationships. Like we often replay the same kinds of experiences we had as children, getting these trying to get these unmet needs from our parents in our relationships, and then attracting the same kind of repetitive situations.
Yeah.
So this is a time to become really conscious of that and to break it and to change the kind of relationship patterns you've been having. That's why there's often a lot of breakups during retrogrades. It's time to break the pattern.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Breaking the pattern, because we are we're retrograding, right? So really going back and pulling it back in, doing the work, reflecting, all that good stuff. So, all right, Joe. Wow, I feel like we should be doing some sort of relationship workshop during this time.
Yeah.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, we should. Maybe let's do it.
Well, with that said, I hope you got plenty of information and some tips and tools for navigating the next Venus retro. You can always jump in Project 40, even if it's a few days late, right? You can jump in.
Up until I usually let people in about 2 days into it, because otherwise we go pretty deep pretty fast.
Yeah, we do go deep pretty fast. I'll be there too.
Catch up.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, y'all. Hope you got some tips, tools, and lots of insights, and we'll see you on the next one.